I'd like you to consider the IEnumerable interface. This represents a type that you can enumerate. Think of a collection or list of data that you'd like to use with a for each loop. Before iterating through the data, you first want to find certain items. How would we go about building a reusable method that allows you to search for items in a collection? Since we do not own the IEnumerable interface, we can't add methods to that. Therefore, it's appropriate to do this with extension methods. We start off with the class. This is a static class that represents what type we are extending. The class IEnumerable extensions will now contain all the methods that we have added to the IEnumerable. I'd like to introduce a method called find that in its turn returns a list of items that match a given search. Because we want this to work with any type, we are going to rely on generics. This allows you to build functionality for this without knowing the exact type. The method is a public static method which returns an IEnumerable of t. We'll call this method find. And we also have to specify that this is a generic method. It means that the type can be defined by the consumer of this method. Because this is an extension on the IEnumerable, the first parameter will be the instance of the IEnumerable of t. Let's call this source. We'll also accept a second parameter. This will require that you understand delegates because we are going to rely on the func. This second parameter will accept a delegate that determines if it's an item that we are looking for. This means the delegate will accept an instance of t passed into it, and after it's performed its comparison, it will return a boolean to indicate if this was the item that we were looking for. We can then use a for each loop, and in the body of the for each, we can call the func and pass the current element. If there's a match, we can use the yield keyword to send that back to whoever is iterating through this enumerable. The yield keyword is a contextual keyword, and using this makes it easier to create an iterator. An alternative approach would have been to first create a temporary instance of a list and add elements to this one by one, before returning the entire collection. That would have behaved a little bit differently. As with the yield keyword, each item is returned one by one instead of a chunk of elements. Whoever now adds a reference to this library and include the namespace that this IEnumerable extensions class lives in will have the capability of calling find. We could have a list of items that we want to search in. And as you can see here, Visual Studio does indicate that this here is an extension method. You can then define a lambda expression to indicate what you are looking for. Each iteration inside this extension method will then call this anonymous function to evaluate if it's an item that we are looking for. This is what makes extension methods extremely powerful. If we'd like to, we could now package this as a NuGet package and have other developers inside or outside of our business use this anywhere they have an IEnumerable of t. If you do not own the codebase that you want to build extensions for, this is a great way to build a reusable set of common methods.